Hello, welcome back. I am hopefully not going to cry in this video because I feel like all the videos on my channel I am crying about some horrific thing that happened, but today I'm going to be talking about something very close to my heart, so I'm not planning on talking about something sad and emotional. However, no promises, I still might cry, but it's not going to be for like sad negative reasons, hopefully. But if you guys are new here, I have been going through my Saturn return over the last couple years, still going through it, and I am ready to share all the things that have happened as much as I can, because I have felt like I cannot speak about it because of certain circumstances in my life, but I am now opening up about the situation. And just as fitting as it is, the last video being about my breakup, this video is going to be about meeting the love of my life. And if you don't know who that is, that's Riker. And Riker, oh my god, they came into my life when I was literally least expecting it. Because if you watch the last one, like, I was engaged to be married to someone else, and I was like so ready to like start my life with that other person. And then all of the like circumstances leading up to it, I was like, wait, what have I been missing for so long? Like, this is not what I expected. I wasn't listening to this like gut feeling in my head for so long, and everything started changing. So this happened about 2 years ago, and it is one of those stories of like, when you are not looking for your person, they truly just show up in your life. Like when you stop looking and you stop fighting for the universe to give you, like, I don't want to be cheesy here, but this whole video is gonna be cheesy, your soulmate, they will show up. And that is what happened, and it blew everything in my life out of the water. And when I say it blew, I did. I was like, oh my gosh, I have never experienced like love like this before. And I know that sounds like crazy because I was gonna get married, but I don't know. I got a very hard perspective change very quickly, but also it took a long time. So if you know nothing about me, I started a business, like a metaphysical business, about like 5-ish years ago, since now it's 2025. I started a business like 5 years ago, and it was in the spiritual niche. And in that time, I created a like community with this other person. I created a like Patreon community. And we had a Discord server, and in the Discord server, I started to like engage with people there. And I started talking about D&D, and this was, like I said, 2 years ago. I started talking about D&D and how I like wanted to live my dream of having a group of friends that wanted to play D&D weekly, but I didn't have any friends that knew how to DM. I didn't have any friends that had the time. So I was like, oh, wouldn't it be like really cool if like that could happen? So I'm like just sharing my thoughts about like how I would love to do a D&D campaign. And people in the server were like, well, I'm a DM, I could do that. And I was like, oh my god, are you serious? Because for sure I will take you up on that. So I created all of these like chat rooms, like set it up to play D&D in Discord with the Patreon community. And it was one of the best decisions I have ever done in my life, because it made me meet these people that like understand me to my core. And it was so eye-opening just to be friends with these people. So I don't remember how many of us there were, like maybe 10, 15 people. I don't really remember like fully everyone. Like I have never counted. But we were kind of like the misfits. We were kind of like nerdy. We were quirky. And we all like were very similar because we're all like being attracted towards the same sort of like content and the same sort of traumas, and we just like, it was like we knew each other before even talking. And this D&D group it was awesome, and I got really, really close and made really, really like meaningful relationships with these people, and I'm still friends with a lot of them. But there were two people that I like hung out with the most, that I feel like I related to the most, and that was Riker and then another girl, which I'll call her A. I called her A in the last one, so I'll call her A in this one. But the three of us were like it was very weird, these like two other people, because it was like they were reflections of me and like my business partner at the time, like my best friend at the time. And it was so weird. It was so weird. It was weird to like see a reflection of yourself and a reflection of like one of the most important relationships in your life. And we would hang out, we would like talk about spirituality, we would experiment with things, we got like deep and vulnerable, not just with these two people either, we like did it with everyone in this D&D group. We started hanging out with Riker's brother Jay, if you know him. He does a lot of voiceovers for meddling mediums. But we started hanging out with him, and he works with Heimdall, which Heimdall is a god that I think works with like pathways and stuff like that. I'm not fully like versed on the things. Riker just told me Jay works with Heimdall. Heimdall works with like gateways, pathways, that sort of thing. And Heimdall taught Jay how to do this thing we call mind walking, which he like creates this pathway into people's minds and is able to like pull out this like deep, blocked, repressed trauma. And once we figured out how to do that, we like watched him do it, and we're like, oh my god, that's crazy. So we figured out how to do it, and we started doing it to other people in our group, and a lot of them, because we were like, this is like crazy, and this like creates such a like deep connection with us. It allows us to feel more vulnerable, understood, seen. So we started doing that, and it was so interesting to see the like change in relationships with each other and how deep and authentic these relationships could get. And then I had this spirit guide come forward, and the spirit guide, he initially came forward to me as a yellow spirit guide, which for me, yellow deals with emotional intelligence or figuring things out in your head. And he was new, so I was like, okay, so I'm like asking everyone about him. I'm like, what do you see for him? What does he tell you? He won't talk to me fully. Like, what does he see? And I remember asking him his name, and he actually sent me like a TikTok. And it was a very weird TikTok, because like I asked, can you tell me your name? Like, can you give me some sort of sign to tell me what your name is? And this video came up on my TikTok, and I had not said this like out loud. It's not something that my phone would like pick up on. But one of the next TikToks was this person being like, you know, it would be a really cool name, Prince. So that was his way of telling me, this is my name. My name is Prince. So this new spirit guide, I referred to him as Prince. And it was interesting because the more I developed that relationship with this spirit guide, the more I learned about him. And I started talking to Riker and A about this spirit guide, and they said, the spirit guide is different than your other ones. I feel like they are going to be like a very pivotal person in your life, and it's going to cause you to like change your mindset drastically. It's going to cause you to like literally pivot your perspective in a lot of things in your life. And if you listen to my last video, I was talking about this period of time where I was getting a lot of readings about my relationship that were very much like unwanted. I did not want to hear about it. But all of those readings, they all talk about a Prince Charming. And I'm like, well, this is interesting considering the fact that like you all keep telling me about Prince Charming, and now I get a spirit guide named Prince. Is this person going to lead me to like finding this person. Like it was a weird situation. But I started getting more information about the spirit guide. And I started seeing what he looked like beyond just the color or the feeling. I started getting more details about him. And he told me that he looks like Sebastian from Hogwarts Legacies. He looks like that character, so we started calling him Sebastian instead of Prince. And Sebastian, God, the reason why he showed up to me initially without the details in his face, because I just saw him as like a figure and there was like golden light or yellow light shining behind him. I didn't see any details until like time went on, but I started seeing details, and the details, it triggered these crazy memories that felt like weren't mine, but I felt so connected to it. I remember we went to the Conjuring house and we were like staying in a hotel, and I remember sleeping, and when I fell asleep I dreamt about this spirit guide, and I wasn't looking through his eyes, I was looking through this woman's eyes. And this woman, we came to realize her name was Becca, and I had dreams about Sebastian and Becca's life and how they had this like wonderful fairy tale life together. And it was like the kind of love you see in The Notebook or the Titanic. Like, it was like the love that people say you only see in movies. And I was in the dream. I felt their love. I felt what it felt like. And I do want to get into like the details of that story and explain it a little bit better of like what they were showing me specifically. But I figured out that Becca was my past life. And this is spirit guide Sebastian, he knew me from that past life, which is a common thing that happens with people's spirit guides. A lot of times you know these entities from your past lives. And that's why they're here to help you overcome certain things in your like energy. But Prince was helping me to realize, God, he wants me to say realize my worth. He was helping me realize that people lie to you about settling down and lie to you about love and saying that that love that is in movies isn't real. And it's kind of like crazy that we believe it, because who created those movies? People that have probably experienced that type of stuff. And it's like, why can't it exist? Why do you have to settle? Why do you have to like be okay and make excuses for these people that are not listening? And God, I had these dreams like crazy, and then I went back and talked to like Riker and A about it, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. I know that you guys like in passing mentioned that the spirit guide was gonna like change things for me, but like I saw his face and now I can't stop seeing his life. Like every time I close my eyes, I see another like little section of his life. And it is the weirdest thing, because this is my spirit guide. What is happening? So A starts telling me about like Ascended Masters, which I'm still not sure I know what Ascended Masters are. But they start talking about it, and they were talking about like your spirit guide, the spirit guide feels like an Ascended Master, like he's going to change like huge perspective things in your life. And we were talking about it, and I'm sitting there with the realization, I like read them and I was like, I feel like the entity that you say is your Ascended Master is someone that you knew in a past life. And because of that, I was like, okay, if that's true, if this is someone that you know in your life now that you knew in a past life, what is it for me? Like, who is this person? Like, who is this past life in this life? I don't know if I fully made sense there, but when I was reading A, I basically was like, you have a spirit guide that I feel like you knew in a past life, but this person is also like incarnate with you in this life as well, not just as your spirit guide. And I feel like they're this person. And I did the same thing. I like look at them and I was like, okay, they say that your spirit guide in that like context is similar to this spirit guide. So like, who is Sebastian supposed to be in my life now? And they both look at me and they're like, their energy center feels like Riker. And what was weird is once I like mentioned this guy's name, when I mentioned my spirit guide's name, they started seeing the same memories, and we would like compare notes every day and be like, oh my god, this happened, this is what they showed me. And they'd be like, oh my god. And they would like, it was like we were finishing each other's sentences about this past life story of this person that we did not know. And it was like confusing as heck to me because I thought I knew what love was. And the spirit guide was like, that's funny. That's a good one. And it started breaking down every relationship that I had, and it started showing me all of the excuses that I made for people of why they couldn't be there, you know? So we do that for a few weeks, and then June hits. And June was so incredibly difficult. And I remember talking to Riker and A about like DID work, and they were talking to me about how like Riker was working with Lilith, and Lilith is like a daemon, and she was helping Riker with like accepting one's truth, learning how to reuse your voice, like that sort of thing. Lilith is very like female empowerment, like being unapologetically yourself vibe. But we're like, well, it's interesting because a lot of things that Riker and A do is very similar to like what me and my best friend do. So I'm like, I wonder if I also have like a daemon that's like helping me with different areas of my life. And they were like, yeah, it kind of feels like someone that is kind of like a counterpart to Lilith. So it was like a masculine energy that's going to help you in a similar area with relationships. And I was like, okay, I'm not really sure who that is. They at the time, I guess, thought it was Asmodeus, but it wasn't. However, Asmodeus is a different story. But later that night, I remember being on TikTok and sitting in my bedroom. For whatever reason, the light was off and I was just like laying in there resting. And I was watching TikToks, and all of a sudden I felt this like presence, and I was like watching a TikTok of like different daemons and stuff like that, different like deity daemon type things. And once I like watched this TikTok, I felt this presence in a room. I was like laying on my back, and this like, I guess daemon got on top of me, looked me in the eyes, and was like, I am going to show you all of your abusers from your past lives. And it was like alarming to me because at that time, I didn't understand what was happening. All I knew was this was the like entity that was the counterpart that was going to help me in a similar area that Lilith was helping Riker. So it was a good time. He is scary. Nowadays, he has a name, but he asks us to not tell the world. So we call him Richard, and it's because he's kind of a dick. And for the remainder of June, he stepped in and pretty much like rocked our worlds. So he impacted, God, he impacted a lot of people in my life. He impacted a lot of people in our D&D group, not just like me, Riker, and A, but everyone, and in different ways. But I feel like for whatever reason, because he was like counterpart to like Riker and Lilith, and I don't know all of the details of things, but he was also now working with Riker with things. And I don't know all of the like details of like why or what happened. But when he first came forward, and I do want to talk more in detail of this, I'm just going to give you a like brief summary of it. But he started shape-shifting into all of my abusers from the past. Because like I explained to you in the last story with Sebastian, the second I saw his face, I started seeing his past lives. I started remembering his past lives. This time, Richard, who is a shapeshifter, he would shapeshift every day and look like someone else that me and Riker knew in our past lives. And he would force us to basically do like past life regressions every single day. So like, he showed me himself with white hair initially because that is one of my abusers from my past lives. And it was like so scary. It was scary, it was traumatizing, because the second I would see what he looked like for the day, it would trigger like horrific things happening. And we did so many past lives every fucking day for an entire month. And one of the things, if you don't know anything about past lives, is you usually incarnate with people over and over and over again. Like the same souls you are incarnating with. They are considered your soul family. And it started showing people's true colors as well. It started showing people in our lives being the abusers in these past lives as well. And we needed to learn different things in those past lives to overcome it. And it was just, I will go into detail more of the like stories and stuff like that of meeting Richard and who Richard is and all of that. But the main consensus of this is we went from learning about love and relationships and the like most purest idea of love to now moving into the opposite. Like learning about the abusers. Like he literally told me, he spoke to me like an abuser. He told me that once I figured out the people in my life were speaking to me like an abuser, he stopped. And he literally told me, he's like, the reason why I talked to you so rudely is because I'm not someone that you are close to. I'm not one of your like close, dear family or friends. So hearing a stranger talk to you so like rudely, crudely, whatever, you're starting to hear it in the people that are closest to you, because you're starting to realize no one should talk to you that way. And because I'm an outside source, you're not going to make excuses for me of why I'm talking that way. So I am inherently teaching you what abuse looks like and how you need to avoid it and how you can grow from it and how it is presented in your life. And that is what he helps with. He is one of our spirit guides. He is a daemon, and he has been helping with a lot of that sort of thing. It's a lot of like trauma that is caused from abuse. It is a lot of trauma in general. He would be considered a black spirit guide. I feel like he's like black and gold. I don't know. But like all of this is now leading up to like the end of June. Now, like I said in the last one, that is when I went on this trip to go on my friend's bachelorette party, and that's when I basically saw all the things that these spirits were teaching me about relationships in other people's relationships. Because the bachelorette party, I went to my friend was getting married, I went to her bachelorette party, and it was just so perfect that everyone on this like bachelorette party were either married or engaged to be married, except for 2 girls. And one of them was in a toxic relationship, in my opinion. And they were talking about all these things that, like, of what she deserved better in the relationship. And everyone was, like, trying to help guide her and give her advice. And it literally was like, here is perfect love. And then here is what abuse looks like. And then let's show you what it looks like in other people's relationships. And then that's when Lilith fucking came forward, and that's when Lilith was like, me just being cut off, that's when Lilith was like, are you starting to put the pieces together? Do I have to put them together for you? And that's when I realized Riker was Prince Charming. I don't know why that's when I realized Riker was Prince Charming. That was when I realized where the abuse was happening in my life. That was when I realized all of these like gut feelings, red flags I wasn't listening to. That's where I realized all of the readings that I was getting made sense. It was like the puzzle pieces I was not expecting to go together did. And then I knew that if I wanted the love that Sebastian showed me, that I was in the wrong relationship. Because it was like maybe a 3-month period of me like learning about relationships for me to be like, no, you're right. But I do also want to say that period of time, like, the decision was so difficult, it was so important, and it hurt so much. But like, it truly helped me realize that, God, they really just want me to talk about worth. They made me realize that I'm worth more. I am priceless, and I don't have to get my worth from other people. And the reason why I'm like annoyed by it is because that's what they've been telling me recently, because I have been trying to heal my trauma from past relationships, and it's been hard because I don't understand why it's taking so long to get over these people. But I'm like, it's because they made me feel like a villain when I was trying to put my worth into how much they cared about me. So like them saying, oh, you did all these horrific things. I never meant any of that. I never meant to hurt those people. A lot of what they're saying, like, I was just trying to like leave, to like finally stand up for myself. But it made me feel so worthless that now in my relationship I feel the same. So I feel like any hiccup, any bump in the road, my brain says it's going to happen again, and it's not their fault, it's my fault, because I equated my worth to other people. So learning all of this, and still learning about it, and learning that my worth is not tied to how much people fucking care about me. And all of the, I don't know. I feel like I have so many more ideas for videos because this one is getting very long. So I do want to make a video on Sebastian and Becca. I do want to make a video for Richard when he came forward and all of that stuff. And I kind of also just want to talk about realizations that I had with relationships, because this is kind of like the what happened, but like the realizations I feel like will be very powerful for people, because I think it's very important to talk about this stuff, because I like needed validation that it was really happening, because I was so good at gaslighting myself. I was so good at it that I don't know, I literally convinced myself that the reason why nothing was working wasn't because we weren't working as a partnership. It was because of me. Like, I was doing something wrong. I don't know. But those are the other videos I want to talk about. But a few weeks after I had that breakup is when I realized that this was the wrong relationship for me, but this is the kind of relationship that I want. I want to pursue a relationship with Riker. And I do want to say, a lot of people think that like I cheated on him, like I cheated on my ex, I like knew all of this stuff was gonna happen, I was like unfaithful, having an emotional cheating thing. But that was not what was happening whatsoever. Like, remove their part in it, it still would have happened. Like, remove Riker's part, like, it still would have happened. Because that year, I think it was like 2023, that year, I learned so much about relationships so quickly. I learned what true love looks like, feels like, whatever. And that is possible, that you can fucking have that. You can have the love that you see in those cringe-all movies. And then I saw what abuse looks like. I felt it. A lot of the past lives that I experienced that Richard showed me, they were intimate relationships, and how I experienced abuse from whoever I was in a relationship with, and how I was being saved by someone else in my life constantly, just over and over and over again. And I felt it. He literally made us feel the sensations of being in those past lives and just watching them over and over and over and over again. So he taught me what healthy looks like, and he taught me what toxic looks like. And it made the questions that I had prior to any of this clear. Because I had questions about my relationship far before, which is what I talked about in the last video. Like 2 years before all this happened, I was confused of why things weren't working out, why we were never seeing each other, why we could never figure it out, why I felt so alone and felt like it was my fault, and why we couldn't connect. Like, I tried so hard, and I just thought I was doing something wrong. And then all of this happened. I learned so much. And it made sense. It made sense. I got it. God. And that was just a brief summary of everything that happened. And that was probably like 40 minutes long. Probably longer. It's probably like an hour. So I'm probably going to stop talking, and I'm going to talk to you more about it in the next one. So if you're interested in the story, please also let me know what things you want me to talk about, because I do want to talk about those 3 things. The love story with Sebastian and Becca. I do want to talk about Richard coming forward and him talking about all of the like past life stuff, because shit was crazy, just crazy. And then I do want to talk about like what I've learned in relationships, because I feel like that's going to be like very beneficial. But yeah, God, I'm just, I don't know, leaving, okay, I don't want to say it that way. Finding something that you're in alignment with is just it changes fucking everything. Like, Riker and I are going through like the hardest fucking thing in the whole world. Like, we are going through stuff that would like destroy relationships, and I couldn't do it without them. So it is just, I don't know. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to marry Riker. That is like, goals in my life. We're just so fucking poor. But I like, I want to get married so bad. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll be back. I'm thinking, so far, the universe likes that I post every other week. That's what I'm doing so far. Eventually I want to post every week, but right now we're doing it every other week. So I'll see you guys in 2 weeks with the next story. I'll probably talk about Sebastian and Becca. But thank you guys all so much for the support. Really appreciate it. Please tell me all of your love stories, because I'm kind of a hopeless romantic and I fucking need it. So tell me, and love ya. Bye.